Well, hello again, YouTube. It's Speedy Two Finger, and welcome. I just bumped my microphone. I've got the air conditioning running, but I'm not sure if that really is a problem anymore with the way that this microphone is running. I can tell you what the problem is. My haircut. I my hair switched the direction that it was parted. Like it's supposed to be parted on the side, and then it switched. It was parted to the other side, and then now it's like it's today when I woke up, it was parted in the middle, and that was in style in the late 70s. Guys with like feathered hair parted in the middle. And typically that was like that was popular with like what they call a Chad or a Giga Chad, like a dumb stereotypical jock who doesn't have a healthy way of respecting females or people that are below them in social rank in the pecking order. Typically these type of guys would be picking on the weaker nerds, they were called back then. And I don't was I ever like that? A Giga Chad.
I'd say no.
Did I stick up for people who were weaker? Or was I taking advantage of
No,
them?
you didn't. You were not fully that.
I was never like that. Never like that. Was I racist or acting like I'm better than other people? No. It was never like that. Unfortunately, that's what I look like. I look like this type of person. So it's tough when I see people looking at me and I know that's the impression they're getting. So I try to not do that back in return. Try to be friendly to whoever you are. This video, aren't you glad you tuned in? The good old days are now. This is a topic I've talked about relating to technology, specifically music tech, the tools that are made for us, music types or guitar players. I had won an auction on this Spark Mini. It's a little it's a mini amp. You plug this. I have a USB, a 10 port in front of me and a 4 port next to it. And I have all the appropriate cables that I will need already plugged in. So you plug this in here like this and it recharges it. It's got a built-in lithium ion power pack. And then there's 4 presets. You use what's known as an Android phone. You use what's known as your Android phone, which I have here, and that connects wirelessly to the amplifier, and you are able to program simulations of classic vacuum tube amplifier models and other solid state amps. It has bass guitar amps in it, and not just the amps. It also simulates the speaker cabinet, which is called an impulse response. So this thing, you would think, like going back even 5-10 years now, you would think if you see something small like this, it's going to sound tinny. It's going to sound like I have this amp here. You put a 9-volt battery in it, and I would really only use this for testing. Like if I have a table set up, TV tray, and I'm soldering on it and I finish the thing and I want to test it, this is my test amp. And the only reason I use it is because of how small it is. And I find that one of the problems with it is that if you build the circuit and you need to if it has like a bass control, you can turn the bass control, but you won't hear the device. The frequency response is so limited. There's not a lot of treble. There's not a lot of bass on it. So it's serviceable and handy, but this is a representation of the old technology. This is what we were expected to put up with. We were expected to buy these devices. And then there was this midpoint that didn't really perform very well. And then there was this midpoint where they were manufacturing gear for us, and it made a lot of claims. It started out with this trend in advertising where they were saying pristine digital delay. And then eventually people realized that the old type of delay or echo unit, that when the echo came out of the speaker, it didn't sound the same as your original note. What came out in the echo was filtered in a sense that there was less bass and less treble. It would get more like mid-range. Like a real echo would, you go, hello, and then in back you hear, hello. The sound is different on the echo. So the expensive, pristine digital delay, all of a sudden that marketing became, it was a signal of the death knell of digital. So for a long time, especially online, if you said the D word, other guitar players would go, boo, P-U, oh, we hate that. And the problem with that was, as more time progressed, the digital stuff started catching up and sounding really good. And then at some point, the singularity occurred where actually they were able to clone those old-fashioned tones that are normally reserved for the people who could really afford some ultra expensive vintage tube amp. That those have to be serviced. You don't just buy a tube amp and then you're good. The tubes produce a real lot of heat. And that just basically, it cooks the inside of the amp, so the parts have a tendency to dry out. You have to replace the capacitors. The tubes themselves die. They have a shelf life just like an old incandescent light bulb. So when the tube dies, you have to put new tubes in it, and then it has to be serviced. Each tube is different in the way that it responds. So they have to literally rebias the amp, which you need to have someone who really knows what they're doing. You can kill yourself very easily opening up a tube amp and poking around with a screwdriver if it's plugged in. So you have to take this device to an authorized service center. We're down to, I think it's 2 factories in the entire world that still manufacture these vacuum tubes. And one of them is in Russia. So the idea with the tube amp thing, it became a real badge of honor for people online to sit on a pedestal and take shots at other people because, oh, well, that's fine for some kid in his bedroom with a Line 6, which is one of these devices that's like $100 to $300, and well, $100 to $3,000 now. It's a device that you plug your guitar in and you spin some knobs, and there's a little display, and it has patches in it that you can spin the knob or push the foot switch, and it'll go through and have 100 different preset banks that you program, and it's designed to emulate. It's an amp modeler, and then it'll have the cabinet simulation. So we went from pristine digital delay, and at this point, guys were taking in their old pedals that they had inherited from their grandfather, their own father, or maybe their uncle would give them. This is an Electro Harmonix Big Muff. This is Jimi Hendrix played this pedal at Woodstock. I give it to you, my son. And then they go into Guitar Center and they see pristine digital delay, and they've got to have it. So they what do? They trade the coveted Woodstock Jimi Hendrix played Electro Harmonix op amp Big Muff. That's the one that Corgan used. We'll say the 7 transistor NYC Big Muff. This one was bought at Manny's Music. I wouldn't want one from Hendrix. Cherry picked them from Manny's. He bought the best sounding 10 Big Muffs. So when you get home and then you take this pristine digital delay to band practice, eventually they're over in the corner snickering at you, and they're going to say, dude, you sounded way better back when you had the Big Muff. And then the guy goes, oh, and from then on, he goes back to Guitar Center with the pristine digital delay, and then he sees his Big Muff in the cabinet with a sticker price of $1,499, and he had to give them $276 on top of the Big Muff to get the pristine digital delay. And what I forgot to tell you was the delay, it wasn't just a delay, it was an all-in-one. Let's say it was a Digitech RP. So the Digitech RP made a lot of promises. And they had like the RP50, the RP80, the RP 200, and the RP 300, and the RP 500. There was like a bunch of models. Going from 100 to like, I don't know, $699. How much was an RP 500? list price when it first came out. So these would be all in one. It's got some foot switches on it, some knobs, and a display. Maybe the more expensive ones you can plug into the computer and do the patch editing with a mouse. And you know, they would have different. Oh, this is supposed to sound like a '57 Fender Tweed. This is supposed to sound like a Vox AC30. This is supposed to sound like a Marshall Plexi, and this is supposed to sound like a modern high gain. This is the Digitech Punkifier 76. No, I'm kidding. So the problem with that is not only did they not really sound like those models, they all kind of sounded about the same. And they sounded kind of farty. Just all around like blah, you know? And when you would add an effect to it, like we're going to have echo, the whole patch would get louder. So if you would make patches where you would want to like turn the echo on, you would have to try to compensate the volume in the patch without the echo, and it would change the sound. Or there'd be a gap in timing when you change patches. So it was like there was nothing good about these all-in-one amp model or multi-effects for a long time. Even the really good names like the Boss multi-effects. I have a GT6 that was really good, I think, for its time. And it had amp modeling in it. But again, the amp modeling didn't sound anything like what the real amp, how it would sound and how it would feel when you're playing it. So for the longest time, there was this real attitude. And ultimately, there's something called showroom preset syndrome. And this is when they produce the unit at the factory, they hire someone to come in and program, set up patches in it so people will want to buy it. They go, what's that? Oh, that's the new RP5000 pristine digital delay. So they go, well, give me a cable and give me what this LTD Les Paul copy. I'm going to sit on the stool, plug the cable in, plug it into an amp, and set me up. And I'm going to go through and click on this, patch 1, big sound. And it would be a high gain metal with an unbelievable amount of echo and reverb. So not only did it sound like he fell into a canyon, it was like he was in a sewer pipe. So it'll be like, pa-cheer, just echoing out. And guys didn't know what to do with it. They would go like, bow, and it would go, bow, 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 bow. So it was all like, like echoing out, a lot of like bad metal palm muting. And, okay, I'll take it. And you get home and you try to read the manual on this thing, and it's like, it's telling you how to plug it in and how to wipe it down with a cloth, but they don't tell you anything about really how to get it to sound good. And what you would have to do is shut all the effects off and then just start with just the guitar and then go through every feature one by one and see what is it actually doing to the sound, and also when you combine them, what it does to your sound. And eventually you realize you can't use all this stuff, because with each thing you do, more of your original guitar's tone and your amp tones begins to get covered up by this pristine digital. So you were left with this thing that, yeah, it's got 1,000 effects on it. It's got 60 amps and 600 cabinets, and all of them sound like not good. All of them sound mediocre. And I'm here to say to you, hopefully you didn't trade your uncle's Bigamuff for an RP 5000. There was a lot of guys online who, if you wanted to talk gear, let's face it, it's talking about music like, oh, I really prefer the Aeolian Dorian mode. When you come off of that flat fifth and you settle back from the root to the chromatic seventh, oh, chef's kiss. You know what I mean? It's not guys. Guitar players tend to be competitive, and they identify themselves through the gear that they're playing. Especially considering everybody's in cover bands and all their set lists are the same. They're all playing the same songs. So, and again, that's a generalization. There's plenty of people making original music out there, and I applaud you for your bravery. But no one cares about your original music. So ultimately, there was this Giga Chad guy with his hair parted, who was sitting up on his perch, his virtual keyboard warrior station in his parents' basement with his covered in Cheeto dust, saying it's fine for some kid in his bedroom with a line 6. Because he was, he had his tube amp, no pedal, just his Les Paul. The only thing that gets between me and my Les Paul and my tube amp is a cable. You go for it, buddy. So, the only thing about that is somewhere over the last few years, we went from Kemper to this. This is the Vailton GP5. It's $76, $79. I paid $86 with tax and free shipping. And this is an all-in-one pristine digital delay. It's an all-in-one. It has the effects pedals, simulations of them, the amp sims, and then the cab sims. And it loads NAMM profiles, which is like a free community pool of sounds that people have captured from their old tube gear, their actual physical tube amplifiers. They've connected this to a computer and captured the essence of that old gear. And now you can cast that spell, you can cast that essence of that sacred unobtainium tube amp for free. You can download it, cast that baby in there. You don't even have to have a thinking cable connected to it. You can plug in your sound cable, plug in your battery cable, and beep boop 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 boop. There you go. Tizoob Tizone. 15 IPS, bro. I saw a fan group for big old honkin' reel-to-reel tape machines. And the guy was saying, his comment was, we should get shirts made, 15 IPS or death. It's fine for some kid in his bedroom with a line 6 on the back. And I'm like, you should have that. You should have those shirts made. So when I see you, I know when to turn and run. Anyway, the point of this video is this thing, it really does sound like a mastered album. You can get that amp sound out of it, not they call it amp in a room. If you shut the cab sim off, and there's different rules on how to operate this and how to set it up, how to adjust it with the equalizers and stuff. So you can get both. You can get like that amp in the room sound, or you can get that mastered album effect. The simulations really do sound, and I think even feel. I don't know. I tend to use a couple. I cheat. I have like a germanium pedal. I have a couple of boosts that I'll run in the effects loop of my setup. I run a wet, dry, wet. I have two processors. This is just for the single mono monitor amp that points at my head. There's a whole nother multi-effector that has all the, not all of the, but a little modulation and the echoes and the reverbs. So this is more like in your face, the center thing, and then the effects are coming out of the mains. But the point is of this video, this little amp sounds so much bigger than it should sound. This sounds like an 8-inch, a 6.5 or 8-inch speaker, and it's two 2-inch speakers in here. Am I right about that? I don't know. This thing sounds so much bigger than this. This is the old tech, and I only use that. It's a test platform when I'm building or fixing something and I'm immediately finished and I want to see if it works. I have this in arm's reach and I can grab it and it's not a tone machine. This is not a pristine digital. So, yeah, this is the old, and I gotta tell you, I'm not sitting up on my perch going, I'm old, I'm good, you're young, you're bad. Don't kid, go back to your bedroom with the line 6. That's not it at all. I was around. My first thing was a guy came knocking on my door with a big cardboard box and he said, hey, guess what? I just found Jesus and I don't need this stuff anymore, but I thought you would do well with it. And it was a box full of Electro Harmonix guitar pedals. Little muff, big muff, red muff, blue muff, screaming tree, small stone, tall bird, hog foot, leather straps, big giant 1/4-inch cables, whip cables. He was a bass guy, but they had a big muff in there and a little muff. So I had a 4-channel mixer. I was splitting my signal and running parallel effects. You can look that up. And I had a full pedal board with a light show in my bedroom, and I had multiple speakers mounted all around. I had foot switches to turn a strobe light on, and I had a color wheel that I could control the motor, so I could change the colors. And I would put on Pink Floyd Animals. I would have somebody over. We'd smoke a little doobage, and then I would put on this phony rock star show and try to play along to the best of what I could do with running this pedal board. That was all pedals. All had no batteries. It was all run off power supplies. So, and this is going back to like 83. So, I'm here to tell you guys all of that old stuff. You read about it now and people are like, oh man, none of it was really good. It was all noisy, meaning there was an incredible amount of background hum, hiss, and signal degradation. They call it tone suck, okay? It broke down all the time. And it was unbelievably expensive. So now you can get a whole Pink Floyd pedal board. What's the guy's name? That Crosley, Pete Cornish, a Cornish style, like really impressive signal processing. And there's none of that noise or degradation. It's like really clean sound. Mind you, it's like they could improve on the compressors for one, the pitch shifters for two. But the good majority of the effects and the amp sims and the cab sims are knocking out of the park. Fabulous, phenomenal quality guitar sounds. Okay, something like this tiny little thing, you connect it to your phone, you can change the sounds. It's got a bank of 4 memory with a built-in battery pack. You can stream music to it through Bluetooth. You don't have to have a cable for the music backing tracks. So it's like, for a long time, the guitar, the gear, they made a lot of promises and it was a lot of talk. And it wasn't, the rubber didn't meet the road. Those days are gone. Okay? The good old days are now for guitar, and you should be really excited, grateful, and also wise about your purchases. I see, like today I saw this unbelievable reverb pedal. Unbelievable. I've never heard reverb like this. I looked it up. It's $500. So that's what gets me excited, is the knowledge that $500 reverb pedal that I'm hearing, that same sound, if I'm still around in 5 years, is going to be in this $79. So now I have something to look forward to. Anyway, you guys, if you ever see anybody online who is there's just a lot of attitude that I see about this stuff that it doesn't take a real lot of expensive gear to get really good sound now. And you can even make the stuff sound great. Even the cheap gear sounds really good. And this is going off of what my experience with the first generation and second generation of gear was. I don't know how you would really approximate and divide it. I would have to sit down and have much more information and resources to put together a proper timeline. But I will say that, like, at this point now, the modeling is, man. So if you're doing this stuff and you're like, nah, I'm gonna stick with my two, you're making a real you're shooting yourself in the foot by not looking into something like this or one of these. It's absolutely unbelievable technology, and I like it. All right, you guys, this was a long one. Hug your pets, and peace.